So my name is Aleksander. I'm working at Huqiao. We are a company which focuses on introduction of different games on the Chinese market, both PC and mobile. And topic for today is basically the Chinese market, because I would like to introduce you to the market, but also give you a perspective how does it work and what's the future for this market. So starting off with the simple plan. So again, today I'll be covering how does the market look like, but also introduce you to the most important platforms on it. And so later on, share you my perspective how games such as like Cyberpunk or Powered succeeded on this super competitive market. And also introduce you the community and my guide for the proper market fit. So starting off to give a little bit of a background about me. So again, my name is Aleksander, and yeah, this is quite a long title, so don't look at it. And to give you a basic introduction about the stuff what I did in the past year is that I worked with multiple game development studios, such as like Creativo, Awesome Games from Poland, and 34 Big Things. And my job was to maintain different marketing campaigns for those studios and their games, such as like Redout or yet another Zombie Survivors. And about the results, one of them that might be kind of like bizarre for you is that I set up over 100 videos with different influencers in the second and the third quarter of 2023, which resulted in number of over 2 million videos. I'm gonna dive deeper into into that later on. And privately, I'm a huge fan of World of Warcraft and Counter-Strike. For an alliance, what a surprise for you. Okay, and giving small background about our founder of Huqiao, Wojtek Jaworski. You probably might know him from the previous events, such as DevGAMM Vilnius or Digital Dragons. He gave a couple of speeches about these topics of the Chinese market. And to give you a better understanding what I'm talking about, I'm gonna dive deeper into the numbers. So when I'm talking about the Chinese market, we are talking right now about over 700 million players, and 10% of that is PC. It may sound like a small number in terms of the PC players, but if we take a look at the Steam, around 25 to 32% of the players use the Chinese as their primary language on this platform, which already gives us an insight that China is really a huge market, especially for the PC games. In terms of the growth, right now, if you're a game developer with your own game and have access to the charts from the China, for example, maybe wishlist or sales numbers, I guess that, in most cases, China sits at the number like 3, 4, behind the USA and Germany on the number of 10% wishlist or sales. But with a proper marketing and the stuff that I'm gonna show to you today, I think that we can talk about number of 30–40% of sold copies just in China. And as you probably know, the market is super focused on different in-game purchases, so stuff like DLCs, merch, on other downloadable content, like additional in terms of the games, is also a great thing on this market. So the first thing that I would like to clarify is the availability in China. And some of you might know the answer to that, but like, for example, 3 weeks ago, I was on the Taipei Game Show talking with Chinese developers about selling their games in China. And honestly, most of them thought that if they need to sell a game in China on Steam, they need a license, which is called the ISBN license. But to clarify, these licenses, like the ISBN license, is important and necessary, especially when you are a mobile game developer, because you need that license to publish your games on the local app stores. But when it comes to PC games, if your game is available on the global Steam, it's also available on the Steam in China. We've got 2 versions of the Steam. First one is the global one, which is freely available for the players. And the second one is the Steam China, which is the kind of a local version published, done by Valve, Perfect World, and the government of China. On the second version, on the Chinese version of the Steam, you've got a couple hundred games that were licensed with the ISBN license, and they are available for the Chinese players. with the license, it is super hard to get, and it takes a lot of time just to get a basic understanding what you need to do to get this license. Sometimes you might even spend like 10, 11 months just to learn that you need to rebuild your whole game from the ground, and it just doesn't make sense in terms of the costs and the resources. So what I want to say you is that if your game is available on the global Steam, you can also sell the game in China like freely. All of the players in China can freely access it. Like the thing that you might have heard, which is the Chinese, the Great Firewall of China, does not apply to Steam in that case. And when I'm talking about the local platforms, I have 3 to introduce you that, in my opinion, are the most important ones. So the first one is definitely a Bilibili, which is the Chinese version of YouTube. It's YouTube connected with both Twitch and like Twitter X. And the thing is, the features that you might already, that you saw currently on YouTube that are advertised as a new, for example, you might have seen the thing with the comments when they pop up on the videos. This already exists on the Bilibili since like 2016 or 17. So most of the things that you see right now on our platforms in Europe or in the West are mostly taken from those platforms. So Bilibili is a great hub, let's say, for Chinese players. They can watch gaming and anime. The platform is mostly focused on that, and it has around 300 million monthly active users, focused only again on gaming, and it gathers only Chinese-speaking community. The app or the the web browser, the web page is only in Chinese. Second one, the biggest app in China is Douyin, which the logo might be kind of familiar for you because this is exactly the TikTok but in China. It is the same like company ByteDance, but the thing is that the Chinese TikTok, which is Douyin, is much different. The gaming is a great thing there, and many Chinese influencers, like the gaming related or many businesses in China focus on this platform. The third one is Heybox, which is more like a front gate to Steam. At the first look, it might look like pages like G2A or Eneba for you, but I have to say that this is much, much more. And right now, I would like to give you a quick guide how you can check out the platform on your own, because it is an app that's available on the App Store, and you can access it freely. And this is an app that is designed only in Chinese for Chinese communities. And what is important is that it scrapes all the data from the Steam pages. It's similar to the SteamDB, but with more user-friendly interface and many, many more graphs that Chinese players can check out freely. For example, here I checked the infection-free zone, which is a game done by the games operators, a Polish studio. And on this example, you can see that the game infection-free zone has around 12.9 and this Chinese character 1. 1 stands for 10,000. And this is the number of wish lists that the game has on this platform. These are 129,000 additional wish lists, which are not counted on the Steam. These are the separate ones. And what is important is that you, as either game developer or a publisher, can check out freely how does your game look in China. Because the app is only focused on the Chinese communities. And so you can see more detailed reviews only from the China. And also the review system of the games after the release is much, much different and, in my opinion, better than on the Steam, because the games that are present on this platform, the reviews are not, recommend, not recommend, but the users can rate the game on the scale from 1 to 5. And even if they do not like the game, they can still, give like 2, 3 stars on the title. Okay, and diving deeper into that, I would like to showcase you a few examples of the games that you might have heard about, such as like Palworld or like Cyberpunk. And here you've got a screenshot of the game that I'm working with currently, which is the Songs of Silence. And from what I know, a couple of developers from the Chimera studio are in Gdańsk, so you can probably meet them in the venue. But the thing is, you know that around 15,000 games were released in last year on Steam. And from the perspective of a player, they may be overwhelmed by the number of capsules, titles, and everything they see on the platform. So if you want to, present yourself better, especially on this market, what I advise is to localize the game in the highest possible way. Like, for example, 95 to 99% of Chinese gamers do not speak in English. I mean, they may understand the simple words, but you have to understand that in China, most of the stuff that they see on the street and the stuff that they listen to or watch is in Chinese. They do not use English as much often as we do in Europe. So even if a simple thing such as the Steam page is not localized into Chinese, it may not even target like a small percent this huge market. So even if you are right now in an early development, what I advise to you is to localize the game even on a Steam-based level. Like you saw the app called Haybox, and I said to you that it grabs the data from the Steam page, but also gathers up the wish list, and those wish lists can be later on used on the platform because you can also buy games from Haybox. And the thing is, if your game is not localized on the Steam page, the players on the Haybox, the mobile app, cannot see. I mean, they can see the description, but it won't be understandable for them. So, for example, with the Chimera, what we did in terms of the Steam page is that, as you can see, we focused on adding the Chinese font to it, but also showing up the character, the castle in the background that shows more about the game. Because right now, in days of the TikTok, and I would say that most of the players spend 2 or 3 seconds when they see something while browsing Steam. It's important to catch their eye with something, such as for example, interesting character or interesting font. And especially on China, around 70% of games available on Steam are not localized. And I have to say that if you would have even a simple capsule, it already changes the whole perspective. To give you more examples, here you can see games like Witcher, Cyberpunk, Counter-Strike, and recently released Palworld, which localized their names, but also, as you can see, added unique fonts. I mean, the case of Palworld is a great example because the game got around 35% of the whole sales coming up from China. And yeah, the game might be suitable for the market, but the thing is with the, the well-prepared early marketing, such as introducing a great Steam capsule, it changes the whole start point. And when we are talking about the community, what is important is that most of the platforms that you currently use on the West, such as the Twitter, X, and YouTube, doesn't work in China. You might think about VPN, but I was 3 weeks ago, I was again in Shanghai, and I couldn't use simple apps such as LinkedIn, Slack, Messenger, nothing worked. And with VPN, yeah, it is illegal. Chinese players use it, but in most cases, it is super slow. And the thing is, when you want to watch something or check out something on the browser, you want to do it fast and convenient. And the thing to it is that the Chinese players stick to the local platforms. And it's super important to enter those, I'm talking here about the social media, because they can change the whole thing about your community. So what you can see here are examples of few things that we did with, for example, Newfangled Games, Ubisoft with Factorio, and Egosoft. And what you can see here are the videos for the Chinese New Year or an interview done with the founder of the Egosoft. So the plan behind that was that we prepared an interview with Bernd in English and then localized it into Chinese. And the thing is that that interview was recorded only for the Chinese players. I mean, Western game development studios are not doing that. And the feedback under this video was awesome because Chinese players felt appreciated. And those small things in the end convert into increasing your game sales and wish list that you have currently coming up from this market. Here you've got a screenshot from Bilibili, the platform that I talked about, which is focused on the videos. And here you can see the page of CD Projekt. On the top right corner of the bigger screenshot, you've got this number of 94.1. So over 900,000 followers on their channel. And also what you can see are the same trailer connected with the Phantom Liberty, which got almost 200 views on the Chinese platform and only 4,000 views on the YouTube. The thing is, this is the perfect example why the local platforms matter. This is the same video, localized in the same way, zero difference. But the platform, yeah, this is a key thing that changed everything. And then you've got few other channels. For example, here you can see a channel of Palworld with around 300,000 subscribers. And the videos under it are mostly short videos, 11 seconds, 1 minute, super short, which have at least 500,000 views under each of them. And the thing is that they started, I checked the channel, I checked the history, they started it almost in early August, couple of months before the premiere, gathering up the community, showing that the community in China is important. And I have to say that those channels that you can see here, like the Egosoft and the Hooded Horse, this is a rare thing. And local Chinese publishers do this with their local titles. But when I'm talking about the Western studios, most of AA, AAA games do not have any presence, and CD Projekt or Palworld are perfect benchmarks of what you can do with your own marketing in China. And right now I would like to show you a quick case study. How does these things apply, for example, in our case? So what you can see right now is the game called Infection Free Zone, the one that I showed you previously. Right now it's sitting at almost 200,000 on the Haybox. And the thing is that we started working pretty early, focused on the influencer outreach, content creation, and community management. So the stuff that I listed to you previously. Influencer outreach is super important when it comes to China, but the thing is that the cold mailing stuff, where you can send 1,000, 2,000 emails to influencers with 1% conversion rate, it doesn't apply to China because there is no such a thing as scrapping the emails. Most of the platforms, such as Bilibili, do not allow this stuff. The emails are banned and you cannot use them. The only thing that you can show is the WeChat ID. WeChat is a Chinese communicator, which you can use to reach out to influencers. It has to be done by hand, and you cannot use any automated or AI stuff to do this. So the thing is, with those influencers, I was representing many different studios, and they feel completely different when a studio comes to them and invites them personally to try the game, but also to record a video about it. And when I'm talking about the influencers, I was working with the ones who had, for example, 10,000 fans, the subscribers, but also a couple of million, 5 or 6. So the range of them, the collaboration with the influencer with 5 million may cost thousands. But the thing is that with the proper approach and the appreciation of your fans and pitching up your game to possible fans may change everything. So again, we focus on the content and the community. So specifically adjusted posts for Chinese community, talking with them, informing them about everything, but also sharing the timeline for the game so they won't feel abandoned, because China is the market is super great. And as you saw, there are over 700 million of players there. It's hard to find time, similar thing on the West. These days, it's super hard to find time for those many titles, super interesting titles that are coming out. And if the studio interests the players with their attitude, this is a huge factor in the end. And after that, 26 weeks of content and community, we focused on execution, which is we had a new version of the game closed for everybody, and we had a closed version, the closed access only for the influencers and content creators on this platform. So what we did, we used the relationships that we had, but also reached out to a couple new influencers with a closed version, and the result was the growth of around 58,000 wishlists in just 2 weeks. On this game, around 30 influencers posted over 100 videos with a couple of million views, comments, and engagement under it. And just to remind it, we didn't have any, the license for that, distribution license. It was only focused on the social media. And the social media is a gateway these days to, gathering of the wish lists. Same things applies to China. But the thing is, you have to know the platforms. And closer to the end, I would like to showcase one initiative that we have as a Huqiao, which is this is our answer to the crisis in the industry. So we are making a small contest for different games, small publishers and game developers to share their story with us. And there is around $10,000. There is a chance to win $10,000 from us just for the game development of your future projects. Just wanted to share this for you. Taking any screenshots? Okay, screenshots, photos. Okay, so that's basically it, and we can move on to the Q&A and to answer questions that you have.
Do we have questions from audience? Okay. Okay, I see 2 hands. So,
how expensive is to reach Chinese influencers?
You're talking about the cost of paid partnerships, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this might not be the answer that you're looking for, but the thing that you saw here, zero. Because most of the stuff that we did, to answer that, but also your question later on, is that the correct approach and the thing that, me and Zosia, for example, here from Huqiao, our team speaks in Chinese. We have a couple of native speakers, but the thing is, my language level, it may not be as great as the native speaker, right? But the thing is that we came to the influencers, showcased our game, and the same thing basically applies overall in the West, because cold mailing and sending keys to the influencers is one thing, but when you really see a potential in the cooperation with the influencer and bring the passion that you have about your game to them and showcase it to them in a proper way, it may convince him to create the videos free of charge overall. But when it comes to the pricing of influencers, it's similar to the ones that we have on the West. If you would, let's say, pick influencer with 100,000 followers, the range is between 10,000 and 20,000, 30,000 yuan. It heavily depends, because when I'm talking about the Bilibili, the influencers on this platform, there are many channels with couple million followers, but around 10,000 views and super low engagement, because the Bilibili is super competitive. And what's also unique about this platform is that the creators on it each day publish a video about different game. The series about the games do not exist in the Chinese market, because every influencer wants to create something new, something fresh, and new games and promotion of a new game during, for example, 2 days before the release, it gives him an advantage, because he can show a completely new game ahead of every other influencer. And in terms of the China, yeah, you can pay those influencers, but the thing is that the organic outreach, from my perspective and experience, works in a much better way.
So you don't have to actually, right?
To pay?
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, great talk. You mentioned that you are localizing some devlogs to Chinese market. And I was wondering, what is the way you're localizing this? Because there are like an English-speaking person, and then there is like a subtitles, dubbing, or some like other people, maybe in Chinese.
Okay, so I would like to extend to this question because when we're talking about localization in China, you can obviously add the subtitles to both like games, videos, interviews. But when I'm talking about, for example, a voiceover or putting, a dubbing on a video, it's super risky because on the Chinese market, even if you are doing that, it's super rare because, like, for example, of the games that I showed you, Cyberpunk, they made a great localization, both subtitles and the language. But the thing is, if you would make any mistake and do not do it like correctly, and there is a risk of a backlash in terms of the review bombing. And what we did with the interviews is that we made an interview, like it was like 30 minutes long, but we adjusted it to be like 15 minutes long, added interesting B-rolls from the game, just to make it more, faster and interesting to watch, and added the subtitles that were adjusted, as every other subtitle in the video. And like when it comes to China, it's like enough. I mean, most of the games, when I'm talking about localization, only have subtitles. Chinese players are used to that, but the thing is that even if somebody understood the English and they saw that this video or like the interview with, for example, the Egosoft was created specially for them. I mean, we are only talking about the Chinese market on that video, and the subtitles are like enough.
Yeah, thank you.
So I guess we have time for one more question. So,
thank you for your talk. I wanted to ask how the Switch market looks like in China, and also if you need the ISBN license for it.
Okay, so when talking about Switch, I can also extend that to all the other consoles. Okay, so I showcased you that around 30% of Steam users use Chinese as their main language. But when we would compare that to the console market, for example, PlayStation, I recently read an article about that, and China takes around 0.3% in the whole world market of PlayStation consoles. And the thing behind this is that since 2000 and 2000, I mean, it ended somehow in 2014, 15, the consoles were banned. They were not so easily available on this market. And like even right now, they are super pricey for the average gamer in China. And the same thing applies to also Switch in some way. Like you can buy the console, you can play on it obviously, but the thing is that it's still a very pricey thing for a Chinese developer, gamer, and that's why they usually stick to the PC or mobile. And I mean, that's basically the reason why the mobile market is so huge, right? Okay. And when I'm talking about the ISBN licenses, when it comes to consoles, yes, you need those in some cases, but I mean, with consoles, it's a completely different matter, similar to mobile, because like, if you want, for example, a mobile, I would like to extend that a little bit. So in terms of the mobile games, you need the license all of the times. PC games, only if you would like to, share your game, for example, on the street or sell it physically on the stores. And with the consoles, it's similar case. Just in terms of the licensing and selling, for example, physically, because the publishers want that. But I mean, in China, it's not really a thing like in terms of the user base, just to sell those games.
so thank you for a great presentation.